I will advise everyone, as I've been instructed to from the county mayor, we're running two lines of recording. So these lights are on, these red lights are on, as your notice, all meetings are being videotaped, audio taped. So the owl is still running, but that's running as well. All right, meeting is called to order. Invocation, Commissioner Harris, would you open us up, please?
Heavenly Father, Lord, we just come to you, Lord, today, giving you all the many blessings you bestowed on us. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this county. We thank you, Lord, for the people that represent each and every district of this county, Lord. We just pray, Lord, just give them the wisdom and knowledge, Lord, that they can come to you, Lord, for advice and you just guide us in the decisions we make, that they may be pleasing unto you. In Jesus' name.
I'm sorry, what?
Can I have a little bit?
Yeah.
I'd like everybody to just kind of think about all the people in Turkey and Syria that are dying from the earthquake. They predict 18,000 people will be dead from all the earthquakes over there that have happened since last night. They had almost an 8.0 earthquake, and they've been coming for 2 hours. They've been having earthquakes constantly, and it's almost destroying Syria and Turkey, and it's devastated the whole region over there. I'd like everybody just to keep them in your prayers and their souls. And that's it.
All right, and the 14G under new business, we'll strike that, remove that from the agenda. If else have any other additions or deletions to the agenda? All right. So without that, have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a motion by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Wright. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. All right, approve the minutes, they're attached. Have a motion to approve. Commissioner Smith. Second by Commissioner Bergdorf. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Kept me as an aye, that's unanimous. Sorry. All right, recognition of the public. Anyone here to speak on any agenda item? Very well, we'll consider that part of the close. Report of the chair. Where do we start? So, I'll just be candid with the committee. We're in a very peculiar spot. We have a major branch of this county that seeks to be without a supervisor, without anyone to hold that division, the county. County mayor and I have been in discussion, not anything that violates any laws or anything like that. But we're in a spot where we're going to have to make some decisions moving forward. We can't. It's going to be up to the discretion of the county mayor. That is his authority to appoint. It's ours to approve or deny the appointment of the county mayor. I will say that I am concerned with this being a vacant position going forward after March 1st, but that's where we're at this time. I do have some other stuff that we'll go over as we go down through the agenda, but I will say that I don't like at all where we're being left with our Health and Emergency Services Division of EMS. Report of the county mayor.
No report, sir.
All right. Report of the sheriff. Deputy Craddock here, Sheriff's Department.
Good evening. You guys all have a packet in front of you. Total deposits for the month were $131,397.08. CTC, our new telephone vendor in the jail, is up and running, and we've noticed over the past few months a significant increase in the telephone commission. Total disbursements for the month were $4,611. Total calls for service last month were 4,851, which is a pretty significant increase from December, but that's to be expected. Holidays are over now, the year is up. The average daily population in the jail was 663 for January, which is good. We're under capacity. It helps us out with the next topic I'm going to brief you guys on. Inflation has hit us hard, especially in the jail food line. we're running pretty low in the jail food line. We'll be going to budget next week to ask for an additional appropriation in that line so that we can feed the people that we house in the jail. Exact cost unknown, that we were going to say today when I left. Right now, it looks like we're averaging about $5.10 per day per inmate to feed them. The vendors that we use that did, they just went up on prices because of inflation. There's not much we can do about that. Vacancies, we currently have 5 patrol officer vacancies, 2 animal control officers, 1 court officer, 1 clerical, 1 kitchen staff position, 1 jail sergeant, and 54 correctional officers. Back in December, I think I told you guys about the hiring event we were going to do in January. We did that at Gallatin High School. These numbers that I'm about to tell you don't correctly articulate it, but it was a huge success. We were able to get the candidates processed really efficiently. We were able to disqualify them on the spot or issue additional offers on the spot. That day, we processed 18 correctional applicants. That would take our internal affairs guy about 2 weeks to do normal. Of those 18, we were able to issue conditional offers to 2 applicants. That's simply because of the standards. If you get disqualified for criminal history or anything, we just can't offer you a job. It is what it is. So we had a makeup test on January 28th. From that test, we currently have 3 patrol deputies who have received conditional offers, and we have 4 correctional officers that we're hoping to give conditional offers to this week. So we are trending in the right direction, just not nearly as quickly as I would like. The TCI grant that the county commission approved last meeting, we purchased the new training laptops, those are in, they're getting imaged today, so we can form with the training division, so thanks for that. I applied for a grant through the Tennessee Department of Health, and we were notified on Friday that we were granted it. It was for $282,000, and the plan is to spend that money on 2 new jail transport vehicles with dual partition in the back, a storage building, which was on the capital project list, and a new JMS system. The past 2 TCI inspections, the inspectors noted that our JMS system is just antiquated. Jail management system, I'm sorry. How we manage all the inmates, where they're housed, their special needs, all that kind of stuff. So that will also go through budget and county commission for you guys' approval. If you have any questions on that, please don't hesitate to ask me. The jail roof, this is just simply for your awareness, Commissioner Klein brought a roofer. He visited the jail, they looked at the roof, and I'm sure that he'll be bringing that up in Chinooks. I have a slideshow with pictures. I would print it, but you can't see the leaks in the pictures just because of how it transfers to paper. But if anyone's interested in seeing that slideshow, send me an email. I'll shoot you the link to it. We're going to have a mock jail inspection in March, on March 7th, with the new regional jail inspector. Pretty excited. We've had the same jail inspector for a while, so we're just going to identify some issues in this mock inspection that we can get corrected before the actual inspection. SRO stats. I was asked last month to provide some SRO stats for what they do. It is the very last page in you guys' packet. It's very rudimentary. Please provide feedback if there's something on there that you want. Let me know if there's something you want taken off. Let me know if there's something that needs to be expounded on. Let me know. Happy to provide any information to you guys. Also in your jail packet, I think in November we talked about the extra interview process that I started. I got one of those back today. It's very informative. It made me feel really good about our agency. Her reasons for leaving are probably something that you guys should read, but you should also read how happy she was with the support she got from the county. From the sheriff's office specifically, she was happy with that. That made me proud to lead an agency like that. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Any plans to do more of these jobs there at other schools, like maybe like Portland or some of the outlying areas in Harrison?
So you're talking about a hiring event?
Yeah.
So we are going to do another hiring event in June, right after high school graduation, and try to target those high school seniors who are graduating or just not on the college path. They would much rather stay home and get a job. Hopefully we can get some numbers from that. We typically do it at Gallatin because it's county seats where all the county buildings are. We have the facilities there to do the hiring event. I'm open to doing it anywhere in the county that I can get more candidates here.
So I know, District 18, there's quite a few kids that might want to work with in the schools that would be interested in something like that.
Absolutely.
Just for clarity though, this wasn't at Gallatin High School during school hours?
No, it was on a Saturday.
It was on both sides.
We simply use their facilities because of the sheriff's office facility in Walnut School.
Did you have any people come from the school, like seniors come through?
Yes, we have 2 high school seniors that applied, passed everything. We just cannot offer them a job until they have a diploma in hand.
Okay.
So,
You had other people older than high schoolers also come?
oh, yes.
That's encouraging that the 2 have actually made it very well.
Great candidates. I'm excited to have them come May when they graduate high school.
So then that would be 4 out of the 18. Oh, well, that's better.
That's pretty normal.
Well, our numbers for January are abnormal, right? Normally, January Chester Sheriff's Office is huge, we have hundreds of people there. We can contribute that to a few different things. In my mind, number one, we tested almost every month last year in 2022, so the interest in January wasn't there. And number two, just the political climate, right? No one wants to work in law enforcement, no one wants to come in for the stress. The mainstream media is not doing us any favors when it comes to recruitment. So,
Is there anything we can do at the county level to help that narrative, say that doesn't apply to Sumner County?
I think we're doing everything we can. Our deputies are out every day, I'm proud to say this, I get calls all the time of how pleased people are with the service that we offer. I get complaints too, that the dissatisfaction of service thing that I can't help. But, our guys are out there really doing a good job.
Real quick, I'll just mention to you, one of your deputies responded to a really bad accident in my district, and it butted up against Commissioner Brown's district, and that guy was out there working and getting everything. I mean, power was restored within 2 to 3 hours. The car, we got a telephone call. Unfortunately, I don't know how the driver ended up, but, you know, we appreciate it, or her, whoever it was.
Relay that to them when you see them.
Yeah.
Any encouragement?
I don't know who it was, but I know they were out there, you know, working.
Thank you.
And I know I may have overlooked this. I know us, as far as certified officers, got an email telling us to be on our toes after what happened in Memphis. Have we said anything to the Corrections Division about that?
No.
Because if they wear something that has a badge on it,
No, we did not say anything with the Corrections Division.
is that something we could possibly do? Appreciate it.
All right, report of emergency services. Or, excuse me, report of the fire department.
The top page in your package is the final spreadsheet for 2022. We finished with 5,865 calls for service. That was an increase of 662 calls from 2021, or 2021. That's the largest increase I've ever seen, and it's still continuing to grow. The second page is a call summary for last year, and then the third page is a graph I had put together showing the trend, the increasing trend for the calls since 2017, and you can see the large jump for last year. The next page is another graph I had put together. This is a breakdown showing by department the call increases. You have to put this in a little bit of perspective. You have to take into consideration the size of the departments and the areas they cover on some of these. If you really break it down, you see the most increases in the areas that are being built up in the county. Cottontown, White House, Portland, they're seeing the biggest increases by comparison.
But are these mostly assist calls to the animal service?
Yes, mostly. But I need to say that over the past 4 or 5 years, what we're doing less medical stuff and more assist. We get into it used to be where I'd wait 15 minutes for an ambulance to show up, and it's pretty common now that the ambulance is there before we get there because of the number of ambulances and stations that's been put up through the county. But where we really help out is moving patients, getting them in and out of the house is a problem, and even getting them across gravel driveways. So we might not do anything medical, but we got to be there to help move patients.
Mr. Chairman, you may not answer this, but are these scheduled calls for lift assist? Or these?
No, these are 911 calls.
Okay.
No.
I didn't know if there's
These are
transfers
911
or
calls.
emergency calls. Gotcha.
The next page is a spreadsheet for January. You can go ahead and look at that. I haven't received the report from number one volunteer yet. And then the breakdown, the summary of the call types for January.
So I think that answers most of our questions there. Then the fires are 28 vehicle incidents, or 35 extra cases of 1, public lift assists 24, EMS assists 271.
Yeah.
That's a lot, that's the bulk.
Probably 85 to 90% of our calls are running with EMS.
All right, anybody have any questions? Thanks, sir, appreciate it.
I have a question.
Go ahead, sir.
I would like, if possible, you operate by subscribers. People pay a fee.
No.
No. No volunteer fire department in the county operates that way.
No.
All fundraising.
Now, we may mail out a bill, and that's not consistent from department to department. I have a book, and I can tell you who donated to us, and if they didn't make a donation, I'll send them a bill. Well, not for it, that's only for structure fire stuff.
If I lived in the county and I called you for a structure fire, what kind of bill would I receive? What,
$500. But if you donated, I may not send that to you. Now, the other thing is, you should be turning that into your insurance company and get them to pay it. I know Highland Volunteer uses a billing agency, and they will have that agency send bills for car wrecks, structure fires. They'll turn a report in, and that company will make a determination whether they're going to send a bill. But there's no way to force you to pay that bill.
okay.
And if you don't pay, that doesn't mean we're not going to come and you call us again. We're going to come no matter what.
So there's no department within Sumner County operating any longer by subscription?
No. No.
Mr. Chairman, I think Charlie, one of your other chiefs.
He does. Yeah, I put him on hold.
Okay, I didn't know if you were hand up or what.
Yeah, I put him on hold.
That's good information to know, because I was under the impression that they did. I'm glad to know that. Did they at one time?
We do a subscription every year that goes out in August, and of that subscription, it goes out to all the people in our area, and we're about 35% return on that, and all we ask for is a $50 donation. So that's what we do at Southeast, and like I said, we get 35% back, and that's about, I don't know, it's way less than half of what our budget is every year. So whether you call that a subscription or not, I don't know. Like he said, if they pay that $50, we don't bill their insurance, but we only bill for structure fires. So, and most people have a deductible already built in their insurance for that, so.
It's always been, if they call, or if we call, they go. No matter, there's not a list.
And Cottontown does similar to what Southeast does. We do an annual mail out. We call it a membership, and we ask for 3 different levels of donation, minimum $45. And if you don't send it, we're still coming. And we get about 30% return also.
Now, emergency services.
All right. First page, you have December and January call volume broken down by station. I did add those addresses to the stations they were, so you can see what city and everything they're in home for you. I just want to point out one thing real quick is Station 6 does have 2 ambulances there. So you see that increase kind of right there in the middle that kind of looks a little weird, but they do have 2 ambulances there. Our next page is your calls versus transport, and that's just total. You can see where the calls were in December in that first column, or first section. Second section is the calls and transports for January. third page is our EMS revenue. Remember in January, I was talking about how December was just a tiny bit short. We should make it up in January. If you look at the yellow, we definitely got that up at $799, a little over $799,000. So we have a total so far of revenue of a little over $4.3 million. So we're about halfway through the year. Well, that takes July is put into last year's budget because those calls are run in June. So all of July's money is put into June to close out that fiscal year. So our stats start in August. So if you look at that and it shows August, that's why. So you're looking at August, September, October, November, December, January. So that's 6 months, and we're setting at $4.3 million in half of our year. Fourth page is your responses into Sumner County and out of Sumner County. So if you can look at that real quick, we responded out of the county into Macon County once. Robertson County was 33 times, and Robertson County responded into our county 33 times. And so that was just the information that you had requested there.
Not typical, pretty good balance.
I believe you asked for this information in December, so I presented in January. I did not have the Robertson County information. No, we had the Robertson County, we didn't have the rest of the month. So once we got the rest of it, I looked, it's within 5 calls, it seems like. But it's a little too early to count because we've got January's data and then we'll have December's data and January's data. So if you would like, I will keep that trending on this, and I'll just build that out to show each month instead of dropping a month off, so that way you can help track it, because it's something new that we're tracking. And that way y'all can keep up with it that way. Any questions?
Thank you, sir. All right, EMA?
Good evening, everyone. Director Widener's under the weather tonight, so he's not here, so y'all get me. Real quick, string of weather coming this week, quite a bit of rain. Toward the end of the week, there's a good chance of it swapping over to some wintry precipitation, so we'll keep an eye on that and get emails out to everybody if that changes. Second on the line, public assistance submitted final payment to the city of Hendersonville for $560,169.82, and that was from the December 2021 tornado straight line winds that went through 2021. The invoices have been sent out for the radio subscriber fees to all agencies. The majority of the agencies have already sent their payment in for that, and has been deposited back into, I guess, the general fund part of it. The big thing we're fixing to have with emergency management is Severe Weather Awareness Week. It's coming up February 19th to the 25th. I have labeled out there what day is each, and we'll be pushing some stuff out on social media. And Director Widener asked me if you all see that come out on our page, if you all can share it out to your citizens so we can help push this information out. So that's the big thing we're fixing to be pushing this month. So anybody have any questions?
What is the flood solution?
So the Skywarn, I'm sorry?
Of the items we're going to be...
So every day will be a new agenda, like it will be a new item to push out. And what we'll do is, like when Skywarn comes out, we will actually push that on the page to everybody, and you all can like share that out as well.
Okay.
But it's each individual category for each day of the severe weather week.
So we're just coming out with the new warning systems and ways to...
Well, we've done it, but this is... Yes, sir, just to push it out to your people. We've done this, like this has been going on for years, but social media is very important. I mean, everybody knows it today, so that's how we get the majority of our information out. So we're just asking for you all to push it out to your constituents as well, so just reach more people with it. So there is a breakdown sheet in there on the radio user fees. Percentages and all. That was another sheet that I had handed out earlier on. So if y'all have any questions, I'm done.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Then we have ECC report.
So for the month of January, the ECC processed 3,919 911 calls. 11,529 administrative calls. We processed 14,266 police calls, 2,095 fire calls, and 2,253 EMS calls. Currently, our staffing, we have 8 shortages. We have also given 3 conditional offers to 4 individuals to start throughout this month. We also have some other strong candidates that we're currently going through now and hope to offer another conditional offer by the end of this month, hopefully bringing our shortage down to 4 by the end of this month. We also would like to open an invitation to anyone on the commission to come by and tour the ECC and see how we operate and just see what operations look like, if you haven't come by already, so that you can just get an idea of what we do on a day-to-day basis, now that you've gotten acquainted with what your current responsibilities are. And that's the report from the ECC at this time.
You're right next to the
EMS building, yes. Any questions?
We'll bring you back up when we get down to that part. Thank you. All right, under old business, we have the Southeast Fire Station, but it's my understanding that it's probably in the budget committee. You're gonna go there this month, and they'll decide. We'll leave that there, as it is for now. And then the next item up is volunteer fire radio fees. All right. So, we have a motion and a second, at least get it on the floor for discussion. So, I have a motion by Commissioner Janone, second by Commissioner Harris. So, my understanding is that all you have this attached or in your packet from Director Widener, is this is the volunteer fire department portion of the radio. $32,088.21. All they are looking for this committee to do is say, yep, we acknowledge it, we see it, and we think the county should continue to pay and send it to budget, or it dies here. So, does anybody have any discussion, questions, comments?
Motion to move on to the budget.
Motion by Commissioner Harris, second, by Commissioner Wright. I think that's out of order, but I'll take it anyway. We already had one motion on the floor for discussion, so we'll move on with it. Sounds good to me. I know your intent. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, that carries on. Thank you so much for that. All right, now, under new business B, Sumner ECC policy is attached. Nothing really that I know of, except for we updated the holidays, is that right?
Yes, sir. The only thing that changed was the sick leave policy. This month's meeting, the executive committee and all of the mayors unanimously voted to follow pursuit with EMS and the sheriff's office to go along with the employees were able to accumulate sick leave with the number of hours that they work instead of the 8 hours per week or per month to just follow suit. So that was the only thing that changed, was the number of hours that they accumulate.
And I believe that's on page 4 of 9, and it rolls over.
Yes, it should be on the first page, or under the sick leave, it should be the first bullet point.
Yeah. All right, so you've heard the explanation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, second.
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Bergdorf. All right, so what this is when it was the SO, the sheriff's, or SO is the sheriff's office, and EMS moved theirs to the 12-hour shifts, I approached the ECC director, because they're working an 11.5-hour shift, and said, hey, you want to bring your people up to the same crew? They run a little different. They had to go back to all the stakeholders, if you will, that's involved in the ECC out there, put it up in front of their board, and their board has just now, if I'm speaking out of turn, you can speak.
No, you're correct.
And their board has just now said, yes, this is what we want to go through with, and this is what we want to do. I don't think there's any extra finance or any extra budget. It doesn't affect anything. The time's already allotted, the time's already paid, the time's already there. Same thing we did with EMS and SO. So, got a motion on the floor, got a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? So, so that carries on through. Thank you all. This is moving much painless than I thought it was going to. All right. The next two items are related. However, we will keep them separate just for the means of keeping them separate. Mr. Strong, or actually, Chief Deputy Craddock, if you want to come up and then Strong, you'll be next. Let them explain to you what we're going to do, and then we'll entertain motions and all that.
So, this is simply for your awareness, there is a pretty high-speed, pretty dramatic trial that's coming to Sumner County here before the new fiscal year. That trial is going to require travel from several of our deputies. It's going to require security 24/7 for people. The location of the travel stuff, I'm not comfortable releasing yet until the judge says it's okay to release that, just to protect the integrity of the judicial process. But by all the numbers that I've run in my office, my dumb cop brain, I think that we're going to have to come to the budget committee and ask for an overtime fund, which is outside the norm of what the sheriff's office normally done. We normally compensate everything with comp time, just simply because of the extreme nature of this trial and how much effort it's going to take. Comp time's not feasible. I'll never be able to give that comp time back to the employee in a reasonable amount of time, if that makes any sense at all. It's just, it is what it is. We're going to do what we have to do to protect the judicial system. But you guys are my committee, so I wanted to start here. I'll let you guys know.
This is just the idea of things. He's not, and legal, I'll refer to you. I don't think this is anything we need to make a motion with in this committee.
No,
And it'll go to budget for the presentation of the dollar amount, I believe.
yes, and to his credit, this is going to happen, and he's given us plenty of notice to know we're going to be paying some money here.
Right. So,
Any questions for me?
Any idea what the dollar amount would be? I mean, why I like to ask that.
Roughly in my head right now, I'm thinking about 70,000. We did come up with a plan right before I was leaving my office to take a week of that away. I think we've got a week of that solved that we can do without overtime pay. So we're really getting into the nitty-gritty, trying to make sure, number one, this is something that we've never done before, so I don't want to come to you and ask for 30,000 and then have to come back at the last minute and say that wasn't enough. But number two, also, we don't want to waste any. So we're going to try to do everything we can to minimize it.
I guess, I'm sorry, are you, I won't hold you to this, are you confident 70,000 is all it's going to take, or are you thinking just...
So there's two separate portions to this, and Ms. Strong will talk in just a second about her portion of it. So I think from the sheriff's office side, as of right now, everything that I know in this process, and this is something that I hope Sumner County never goes through again in my lifetime. But I can stand here confident today saying I think $70,000 will be sufficient.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, questions to you. What is the protocol for doing something like this? It's never been done in out of this department, but in other committees, we like to work off of quotes and hit real numbers, and this, I understand, you can't really do that, so you have to put a large amount out there that you hope not to use all up. What happens to the remainder if it does not get spent? Is it going to their budget, or how does that work?
I think at this point, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn any at all, this 70,000 is probably going to be pretty reserved to what they're asking for. And with the sheriff, knowing the sheriff the way I know the sheriff, he's not, I think I'm knowing well enough to know that he'll bring that money back to the county. Say, I didn't use this much money, it's coming back. If not, then you and I will have to have some conversations. Just kidding. But I think really though, that's really where we have to be in this. Ms. Strong's going to come up and talk in a minute about the other half. I understand what you're saying, and I appreciate what you're saying. But something that could go 30 days, and that's hoping that it's all in a done amount of time.
I understand the
Considering
reason for
all of that,
I just wondered what the protocol was for, is it just a...
I don't think we really have a protocol, and Mr. Sibley, if I'm speaking out of turn, by all means, correct me, but we obviously have a dire need that's almost like an emergency need, that's going to have to be funded. So we just trust our department heads, say, hey, here's the baby, don't drop it. So
I think that's the key to understand here. This is nothing but a guessing game till this
Right.
thing kicks off, because it could go 9 ways once it starts,
I
so...
mean, there could be motions, and it could be discontinued, it could be all kinds of different stuff.
And I don't think we've ever had, well, I know we've never had in this county anything like what is coming up.
No.
There's no way to make a standard operating procedure for something of that nature. And you don't want to try to throw something and hope it sticks to the wall, and that's not what Chief Craddock is doing.
All right, Mr. Howe?
I don't want any names or any specifics, but it's just a case that originates in Sumner County. I think I know what it is anyway.
Yes, sir, it is.
Or is it one being transferred?
No, sir, it's a case out of Sumner
Okay,
County.
well, I know what it is.
Any other questions? If you guys think something tonight, or no, I'll get back to you, whatever.
But I will encourage this committee, be mindful of safety and security of the case. I don't want anything that's discussed on the tape or in the committee or outside in the general public. A juror finds out about it, the judge finds out, the juror knows about it, and they can tie it back to here. Please, 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 keep that in mind as you go throughout this whole period.
Are you saying what we're talking?
The security, where they're placed, who's the
Yeah,
money,
to our
knowledge.
yeah, who's the money's being paid to and all that. Just be
Right.
mindful of
Okay, yeah,
that.
of course.
Yeah.
Just wanna make sure.
But a lot of people, they say stuff and they're like, oh, darn, I just said where they're gonna be staying.
And
Just be
I don't
mindful.
know why I didn't know that.
Well, we have 200-some thousand people, there's a lot of people that just wanna know. Mr. Strong, you come on.
So I'm here with the same case. I know, I think mine will primarily go to budget, because mine will be part of, I have a jury, portion of my budget that will come nowhere near the cost of this. So it is a capital case, and by law, jurors are required to be sequestered for a capital case. So I am getting numbers for hotel rooms that would, right now it's scheduled for 3 weeks. So I have to house jurors for 3 weeks. We have to have something to transport them in. The sheriff's office will do the transporting, but they don't have a vehicle to transport 16 jurors in for a 3-week period. We have to feed them 3 meals a day. We have to get snacks and waters and things like that. So I'm working on all my numbers. They will be higher than his. So I'm at about $120,000, and I think that will cover it. We have never done this before, but other counties have. Dixon County actually did this last year. So I'm in talks with them to figure out what worked for them, what didn't work for them, to make sure I'm not missing anything that will come up. Now, they have Montgomery-Bell State Park in their county, which saves them a ton of money. But so far, I'm getting great feedback from hotels in Gallatin that this is a huge undertaking for them, but we've got some new ones that really want the business and really want to work with us and are being really great on their end. It still is going to cost, but they're being really great. And as has been said, I have spoken with the judge, I've spoken with the attorneys involved, and I've said over and over and over, are you going to get this done in 3 weeks? Like, you got to get it done. we can't pull up on a hotel and be like, hey, we need these 18 more rooms for another 2 weeks. And I've been assured that, we're going to work on Saturdays, we'll work late, we'll do whatever we have to do to get it done in 3 weeks. Now, having said that, a mistrial could happen 3 days in and us be done with it, and us be turning all the money back over to the county. Not all, but, a big chunk of the money back over to the county. So we have no way of anticipating that, but, we talk and trust us. None of us want to have to do this. We don't want this money. We don't want to have to do all the work that is required of all of this, and we wish we didn't have to be here asking for it, but we do not have a choice. Law says we got to do it, so I guess stop one to give y'all a heads up of this is the emergency situation we're going to be asking for. And there was no way to plan for it in budget last year because this has been going on a while, and we just didn't know if it would happen or not. We really kind of waited until, okay, it's going. It's been continued several times, and it may get continued again, but it looks like it's going. So we got to get some numbers and hopefully have y'all support and say, yeah, they don't have a choice in this. We got to find the money somewhere. So, anybody have any questions of me?
Did you have a roundabout fee?
I'm at about $120,000.
Thank you
all.
Appreciate you.
Well, it kind of just reinforces the idea that watch what you spend as a county and any department, because you never know when someone is going to hit us.
read that, not knowing what the minds of other people are going to do it again. All right, so we have CPR devices is next on the list through the emergency medical services. Sarah wants to make the presentation on that.
All right, we currently are running ROSQ devices for our mechanical CPR. Problem with that is the company has some FDA investigations coming in, and that company has up and closed shop. We can't get parts for them. We can't get they have a band that goes across the chest to do the mechanical compressions, and no longer get those bands. I think we have like 3 bands left. And I think we have 5 total that are working CPR, the ROSQs, Dale?
We have 5 that no longer work.
Okay, yeah, we have 5 that no longer work that we can't get parts for, can't do anything with. So, recently we have trialed a few. Deputy Chief Henson took care of that with our employees and gathered all the information. Unanimously, the Lucas device was selected by the employees. It is a fantastic device. It is, what this is it has like a ring that goes around it, and it has a puck that goes, and then it's a mechanical piston. And what that does is, it's continuous CPR. It measures the chest and gives correct depth, and it is consistent. The thing does not get tired. And if you really want to get a good workout, do CPR for about 5 minutes straight. So it doesn't get tired.
Correct.
And one of the tests, correct depth and rate CPR. It will do it nonstop, and it's a safety thing. So when we're transporting in the back of an ambulance on an adult patient that we have to do CPR, it's 2-handed CPR. If you're doing 2 hands, you're not holding them.
What do you do about the pediatrics?
Pediatrics will still do. So with the adults, it's a safety thing because we cannot wear a seatbelt. We have to stand up and we have to do compressions. Back when I was on the truck, it was a many day trying to hold on, and we don't need any more work injuries. So that being said, we're looking at the Lucas devices. We're looking at putting 15 in service, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's about $290,000 for those 15. It is a sole source device. It is sold by Stryker Medical. They do have a sole source letter that they can provide for us, and they also participate in the SAVIC for the government, so we can get them through there. And little side note I wanted to add to this is it is being highly recommended now by the American Heart Association that does your CPR training and all that. It is becoming one of the standards. So around counties around us are starting to get Lucas devices also because they are becoming the #1 CPR device on the market. So the American Heart Association is building that in, that it is becoming pretty much it's highly recommended to use that because of the depth and everything. Personally, I have a success story from it. When my stepfather, he went into cardiac arrest, and he was on Lucas device for an hour, and it got him back.
And if you have never seen one of these in action, they're well worth the money.
So, unfortunately, he had other complications a couple weeks later that he did pass, but I personally have seen this work.
How long have your other devices been out of commission?
The 5 they have,
They went out of business last year.
they went out of business last year, so as they are tearing up, we can't get parts for them to replace them, so they're...
How many do you have now that work?
We have 8.
8.
You have 8 that work, 5 that don't.
How many ambulances?
We have 13 ambulances in the county plus 5 BLS ambulances. So you're looking at the ones that are in service. We have the straps that they have, the chest straps, but if they use that one, it's one-time use, and you have to throw it away then, and we can't get any more of those. So once we go through our allotment of those straps, none of them are going to, even if they're functional, we don't have the straps to use them. at that point. And then one last thing I do want to bring up, that these items are covered and qualify for purchase through the ARPA COVID grant that county has available funds for. So that is a funding source for that, that we can look at, and if we can't use that, then we'll probably start building these into our budget to get them replaced, or have to figure out a way to get them paid for, because they're pretty much standard now in the ambulances, and the ones we have are obsolete.
Out of the, the straps you're mentioning, the mechanical devices and the electronics and everything that makes it function, not an issue, but the straps are what's going out?
Well, the straps are, the company makes it all, so you can no longer get the straps for them because we
I understand that part, but the other part is something that is used over and over and over again.
It is used over and over, but the 5 that are down are because either the batteries are totally shot, you can't get batteries anymore, or the electronics have gone bad and they just won't work.
Okay, and there's nobody that can do any repair work or anything like that? Only
I'm not saying out of time,
only
but
the
there's
company
not.
works on them?
There's not anybody that works on them because they can't purchase the parts to fix them. There are some biomed companies in Nashville that do these kind of repairs, but since they cannot get the parts, they won't even touch them. And since the company's out of business, because of their FDA issues, it's a medical device, they're like, you know, we're not going to be liable for this, to manufacture their own parts, so they're not going to, nobody wants to touch them.
I'm sorry. I just wondered what exactly were the wear parts and what was going on with them, because people repair electronics all the time. There's safety devices in there, throwing away something that can be repaired electronically or mechanically versus $290,000.
It may be a patent thing, you know, they may have patents on their parts.
It may be. I just wanted to know more about that part of it versus throw away things that maybe useful and have 8 of them that are still working that may continue to work if we could find a way to have straps, which don't sound very technical, produced, find a source for them or something like that. So I just want to learn more about it.
Correct. And as far as they'll supervise it, but they are sole source straps too, correct?
They are.
Or bands.
There was a medical supply company called Boundtree that was going to manufacture them. That fell through because of whoever's manufacturing them is not in control of the entire unit. And what I found is that anything that is attached to a medical device, nobody wants the liability. The monitor batteries for our cardiac monitors, this is just an example, I can have them rebuilt at Batteries Plus, because the inside of it is just batteries.
Right.
They won't touch it, because of the liability of a medical device.
All right, so let's bring it back in. All right, any more questions?
How old are the ones that we have?
They are 7 years old?
Somewhere around there.
They come with warranties, right?
The Lucas devices, they probably come with a...
That's why they're in business, right?
And they're in business.
Right. All right, so we've got, hey, appreciate it. We've got an explanation. Anyone have a motion to send it on the budget?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Wright. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. All right. Last but not least, I, as the commissioner chairman or chairman of this committee or whatever, have came up with an idea, a charge, I guess, for lack of better words, to encourage this body for a homework assignment and bring it back in March. I know that's crazy. I know. Here we go. All right, so this is some work that I've done, rather, and when it wakes up. My assistant.
14 minutes, right?
Yes, we're down on the EMS station.
There we go.
All right, right, so I didn't know what to call it, so I said, what is the pulse of the EMS stations in Sumner County? As we go through here, you'll see why I said pulse, because some of these are pretty rough, my opinion. So ambulance population ratio, make sure, all right, ambulance population ratio, we have 8 stations, we have 13 trucks, as alluded to earlier. We have Sumner County population, this is of 2021, I believe it was, 200,557, so you average that out, these numbers are pretty crazy. 15,427 persons per truck across the county. So that's per ambulance or per medic. And then, of course, you know, 529.5 square miles, 378 people per square mile. What I'm asking this committee to do and what we seek to accomplish is find out where inefficiencies are in our stations, listen to what the staff is saying and what they're asking for. Then what? Come back to the committee with recommendations in your findings at the stations. The committee would develop a detailed plan to address issues in the findings. These detailed plans shall include the details, including what the committee is looking for to correct the findings. I don't want to just come in here and say, well, we found a hole in the sheetrock and it needs to be fixed. I want to know how we're going to go about fixing it. The plan shall include short-term and long-term goals. The committee will send the detailed plan to the budget so they can figure out how to put the funding as they're outlined in the plan. And once the plan is presented and passes the budget, then it'll go to the final commission, full county commission. The recap of the plan is noted on the next slide. So we visit the stations, develop long-term plan with short-term and long-term goals, send the plan to budget for funding, and send the plan to the full commission. This is what I did. Actually, this was in January, the station visits. All right, here's the Oak Grove station. We've heard plenty about the Oak Grove station and the condition of its, or lack thereof. There's a water heater in the shower. Notice the shower doesn't have a head. Decontamination sink is there in the bathroom. A lot of work that can be done here in this station. The next slide, this one here, it's about 13 inches. I wear a size 13. That's my big foot there on the right-hand side. 13 inches when they get the tone in the middle of the night or 3 o'clock in the morning to go outside to the bay to get in their truck. They've got a 13-inch clearance to turn sideways to get through to get to their bus. Sorry, to their ambulance. This is how their living quarters are. Our medics are keeping their clothes and their linens, their sheets, and totes. Locker room, there on the right-hand side, you can see they've got canned food above their lockers and a roll-around tote, roll-around cart, 3-drawer cart. This right here is where they lay their head at night, or during the day, depending on whatever they want to do while they're there. Sometimes if they're even there. You can see the width of the bedroom is nothing more than a bed, a nightstand, and a fan that's halfway laying between there so the air is not blowing directly on the medic while they're trying to sleep. And the one on the right shows the length. It's about maxed out. You may have a couple of feet there at the end. And then, of course, the medic's clothes is there on the floor, right there with the window. When I walked into this place, this bedroom, I pulled the door to behind me, and it took me back to my days where I worked in the county jail. To be honest, that's where it took me, because of the lack of space inside of the bedroom. And then again, I think this is a duplicate, maybe. So I've got one the wrong way. So then there's the bathroom inside of the Oak Grove station there. Their showers there on the side. So I took that. If you go outside of their bathroom, there's a hall there by the bedroom that goes to the 13-inch opening going out to the truck. If they have to come in, that's the decontamination shower. So they have to come actually by their living quarters with whatever they've got on them to get to the shower to decontaminate. And then we go along over to the Westmoreland station. It's just a notch barely above the Oak Grove station. This is an old house that's been remodeled, and I use that term loosely. But it's recently had some paint, some love shown to it. But the bedroom, you can see what the bedroom is there. It's a little bigger than the other. The closets there, they at least have A, B, and C shift closets, so they're not sharing linens or with their partner that just got off the shift with. The next slide there should show the office. This is concerning. I don't know if any ideas in anybody's heads, but when these medics go in and start doing their work, they're doing work of HIPAA coverages. This is right in the middle of this house, right in the middle of two living quarters. If somebody comes in off the street, boom, they're right there in front. So that's something we may need to look at as well. Then there on the right is absolutely in the bay. However, the shower has no water.
Is it hooked up to sewer?
I don't know. I'm not being smart, but it doesn't matter. If we don't have no water coming in, we don't have any water to worry about going out, so.
Well, it's doing something with the water.
Well, I would say it's probably dumped in the floor that you'll see on the next slide. So the hose that could be used for decontamination if they need to is hanging there on the left, on the side of the wall. And then you have the bay area for the ambulance to park in. It's pretty tight. I would venture to say a cornbread-fed person like myself could not be the driver of this ambulance back into the bay. I would probably have to get out on the passenger side, because there's not enough room to open the door to get out. The Westmoreland station, again, it shows the tight fit. It's fairly long enough for the ambulance to fit in there. You can see on the picture on the left-hand side there, where that truck has kind of chewed on that door frame there. By the picture on the right, you can see where it's kind of chewed on the post, protecting the water heater. But guys, I want you to look at that picture though. If it's obviously that close to hit the post, and they have to open the door, they're probably not going to get out between that door and that ambulance if it's sitting there. They're on the back side of the water heater opening that up, because it's not enough clearance there to go through. All right, so let's go to those report and findings. This is kind of what I want us to come back to. There's not a place for the trainee to sleep. I know we're fortunate enough to have a lot of students ride with us from EMS, from Ball State. That's part of our EMS program. If these guys decide they want to ride with us, they don't have anywhere to sleep. We're letting them sleep in a couch, or we're letting them sleep in a chair, but somewhere in the living quarters, or stay up the rest of the night and you can sit over here at the table. And this is why we want you to come to EMS in Sumner County. Makes no sense. There's no place for FTO to sleep. If the field training officer comes in to do an evaluation on the two paramedics that's on the ambulance, there's nowhere for them to sleep. They'd be sitting in the truck or sitting in a couch the same way the other two medics are. There's no decontamination uses outside the living quarters. Talked to a paramedic that was on a severe crash. It was on 65. He had matter on his boots. When he come back to the hall to wash his boots off, he had to use a hose pipe that was out in the bay area to wash his boots off, and he left his boots sitting out in the bay. Hot bedding, this is another issue, obviously, since the pandemic. Hot bedding is where Commissioner Schmidt and I was together, and he gets up out of bed, and I get back in the bed he just got up out of. That's what our medics do. There's no place for the virus to die. There's no A, B, or C shift. There's two beds in each station. One medic gets up, the other one gets right back in. That's exactly what I would want to do. Some stations have had issues with bed bugs. Obviously, if you have the hotbed situation going on, you don't know what you're going into across the county, that's what's going to happen. And then, of course, obviously, this just continues the spread of the viruses across our staff, and that's obviously not what we want either. So, with that, I, as a committee chair, would ask that we try to get a plan together by April-ish, May-ish, as a committee, so we can have something for a long-term plan to go to the budget with, and then the budget can decide how to start piecemealing it together.
You've done a pretty good job of showing how horrible it is. My question is, how did it get this way? This is not degraded over the years. This was built badly. This was created wrong from the get-go. Like, how did it ever get this bad? It appears that it was never functioned right, and either the ambulances grew, or it was designed too small for the ambulance to fit. Maybe they had the van style when it was built, now they got the big box style. I don't know. Can you explain any part of how it got this way?
Sure, I'll be glad to. So I think at the time, this may have been the right thing to do. It may have been, yeah, let's put a Band-Aid on an artery that's bleeding out. And just to be candid with the commission, there's no forethought of EMS and sheriff's offices will be coming soon. There's no forethought of the EMS in this county. Just call it like it is.
Built as a fire.
I don't know. It was somebody's house at one time, and then it was modified over into an ambulance station. Their garage is literally where that ambulance backs into. So I guess, and I'm not being smart, but to answer your question of how did it get this way, lack of planning and lack of due diligence on the other side. And that's very unfortunate because the equipment has grown, the ambulances have gotten bigger, and I think most trucks, most vehicles, well, some vehicles have grown over the years, the design of them has expanded. Now, I will say, if you want to see a pristine shop, go to Portland. They're on the south end of town, just north of 76 and 109. That's great. Portland Fire Department has one side, and EMS has the other side, and it's 3 bays or 3 beds. It's great. It's great. So obviously, there won't be any findings coming back from that. But did I show you probably the worst of the worst? Yeah, because that's what we're expecting to live in.
I have a question.
Sure.
Last week, I went and visited all the volunteer fire departments, took pictures, and many of them were locked, nobody was there, because they didn't have EMS, they didn't have ambulance services attached.
Right.
So we're talking only with the ones with emergency services attached, or are we talking about?
No, I want to keep it strictly emergency services. I don't want this report to get off in the weeds, anything else but emergency services. I don't even want.
The only one that has an ambulance.
Only thing, yeah. I don't even contaminate the water, and I appreciate you asking that question. So there's, on the EMS, or the ECC's website, they have them, but I will send that out to you guys, so you'll know where they're at. But again, I would encourage you to go to all of them. And be mindful of when you drive there, how far away they are. The city of Westmoreland, that I showed in the picture, it's in a residential area. So, they're coming up the hill, streaming, coming out of a residential area. Sure, I'm sure they don't mind, they get used to it over a period of time. But it's right there by the park, which is kind of an odd location for that place to be. So just be mindful of that. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, look, y'all, this hadn't just started happening. This has been going on since the beginning of the ambulance service when they first went paid.
Volunteer,
And I was part of the volunteers when it went paid. And I slept on the floor. I slept in City Hall in Westmoreland. I mean, I slept in our hospital room at Sumner EMS. You go where you see. But that's no way to treat other employees.
That's horrible.
This is just third world, some of it is.
And that's exactly what I said on the radio this morning when I was interviewing. I said, part of this county is going backwards for almost like third world country. But anyway, yeah, you're exactly right.
What is your goal to, you have a dollar amount in your market, you obviously work in this field. How many stations we're looking at? What budget year you're trying to shoot for? Because I just came out of not a meeting, but a breakfast on Saturday, listening to Commissioner Schultz deliver a great budget presentation. I want to come across as a bad guy here, and so be it. But we're running on real tight margins. Where is it? I mean, is there a plan? Is there ARPA funds? Is you're going to the taxpayers asking them for more money after they just got hammered twice from a property tax increase? And I understand, we can't, they did what they did previous to us getting here. But we've got to look out for the taxpayers too, because they're getting to a point they can't breathe financially. And I mean, this is real problems we're having. So I'm just wondering, long term, are you looking to spread this out over 10 years, 15 years? What's the...
I don't know if they do a station a year. I didn't put anything on there for a reason.
Right. No,
And I appreciate your question. But the thing is, I'm not saying we have to do it tomorrow, I'm not saying we have to do it 2 years from now or 10 years from now. But I feel that it's my job, my duty, I guess, as the chair, now I've made you aware, that we have issues in the county, and that we'll develop the plan. No, I get it.
I don't want to sound like I don't care about our emergency services, because I do, I just want that clear. But I also have taxpayers out there that cannot afford prescription drugs and stuff like that. They've got to make a decision between paying the light bill and prescriptions. A lot of our seniors that don't qualify for a tax freeze. I don't want to see us get to a point, whoops, we got to raise taxes. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that to anybody. I just want to make sure that this is not expected to be done like this overnight, because honestly, we're all being truthful here. There's nothing that can be able to be done that quick with this economy the way it is and the way people are struggling. I just don't want to go to the taxpayers and burden them. I just want to make sure that there's a long-range plan here.
In regards to
The way I read what you're doing here, and correct me if I'm reading this wrong, is you're trying to get us thinking, like Don was saying, long-term, about coming up with solutions for things. This county has poured money into schools, paying $12,500 per child for schools, and we're neglecting other important services. I've heard one commissioner say that the schools have had a stranglehold on the taxpayer dollars that go into this county, and we've got to learn how to shift priorities and find ways to fund these other just as important programs. So that, and they're trying to get the climate towards.
Sure. I mean, obviously, that 80 cents out of every dollar is too much to go to one spot. At the end of the day, and I get it, I'm not for a tax increase either, and I don't want to put that burden on the people, because my dad.
I understand.
Yeah,
I don't want to.
So, and my dad's 70 years old, he's one of those people, that's what I said when I was campaigning, that's what I'll still say today. He's in the property free. So, to put an extra burden on my own family, no, that doesn't make sense either. However, I do want to make sure that when he calls 911, that we've got somebody there reasonably close to respond. And that person is well rested, taken care of, and feel like they're appreciated. That's really what the heart of the matter is getting them out of a living quarters where it's like they don't nobody care, and just go sit in a stall somewhere until your next tone goes off, and it makes me mad. Go ahead, Commissioner Janelle.
in regards to the bed bugs and the viruses, this might help you a little bit. They have covers that you can use, disposable covers that you can use in between people, especially, I know, because in healthcare, we use things like that. And so that is a way to kind of maybe help with that icky thing where you lay down in somebody's bed and you have a disposable cover there, then you put your own stuff there. That might be something you could look into. I know that there are probably hospital systems that can talk to you about those prices, but they do help prevent this kind of cross-contamination of body. Because it's not just it's not their fault. There are a lot of people that have bed bugs. There are a lot of people who have scabies. There's a lot of people who have a lot of cooties. And so I think it's up to us to protect their bodies first and foremost and their health. And so if we could look into that as far as disposable bed covers for the guys and the gals to take rest with their pillows, I think that's something we can do. Maybe get one of the guys to do the supplies to look into.
Commissioner Harris.
Just a question. Is this something that you saw a need and took it on yourself by going and checking these, or did you receive complaints from the employees?
It's been both. Yeah. And this is something that I'll just be candid with the committee and the rest of the commissioners and everybody else that's watching out there. I feel like that we're just sitting here spinning wheels every month and treading water. We're not really moving anything. We're not really accomplishing anything. We're not doing, I don't feel like that I say we're not doing anything, that's not a fair statement to say, but I don't feel like that we're really moving anything. Sure, we take a thing and pass it through, but I want a plan. And that's where as a chairman, I'm trying to get to. Where are we looking at for 5 years from now? Which cause, Mayor, you're sitting right at the end of the table from me. I don't know that we've really heard a plan for this county. I don't know that we've really heard a plan for anybody or anything where we want to go. And that's disheartening. And I'm just speaking as chairman.
Well,
And maybe this will, hold on just a second, please. Maybe this will start something, and maybe it'll make everybody mad at Darrell Rogers, and Darrell Rogers, I can take it. But I think it's time to get a vision. I think it's time to get a plan. Does it have to be done tomorrow? No. Does it have to be done 4 or 5 years from now, as the funds come available? That'd be great. Go ahead.
May I make a suggestion? Perhaps have the EMS folks that are dealing with us to bring a list of all the things that they would like to see fixed to help them do their job better. Because we've kicked around Oak Grove Fire Department, building that for, I mean, I've been here 5 months, I feel like I've been here 8 years. But prior to that, they still kicked it down the can down the road, or however you say that. And so, I understand his passion, because he's saying this just go in a wheel, but there are things that you are talking about that can be addressed, I think by like he said, talk to the employees. I've been to those places, and I talked to Oak Grove employees, and they were not, that the spiders was a big deal, and I get that. And they were happy, but that was built out by EMS, that part of the bay. It was taken from Oak Grove's 3 bays, and they created an apartment.
Al's getting hungry, I guess.
After he's running low.
Of course.
It's not dead, it's next to it.
So anyway, I think that, maybe a survey, but to the EMS, the paramedics, the EMT folks that are actually doing the work, and find out what it is, makes it difficult for them to do their job.
And that's what I'm asking the committee to do. Go see these.
Because I don't know about, you got the water heater and all the water and the garden hose and all that. I look at that, I renovate houses, and I look at that, and I think, well, I can do that, my husband can do that. But, it's just, I want them to be safe, I want them to be healthy. And we need to do that first, and then start working on the structure and stuff. I guess that's the goal.
I mean, so we're spending our wheels, I appreciate what you're saying there, but I hate going back to the budget, though, we're in survival mode. We have to watch every penny. I'm not suggesting that you're looking to do this tomorrow, but, when people say, oh, the county commissioners are spinning their wheels, they're not doing anything, they're just sitting here with 2 and 3 hour meetings, that's simply not true to a point, because what we are doing is making sure that every dollar that you're bringing, not you, but any budget head is bringing to us, is, do we really need it? Going back to Commissioner Schultz, every time he says very well, is anything going to break or is anything going to fall from the sky if we just take a breath? And I know he's not doing, Carol's not doing that necessarily what he is, but I just want to stress, we've got to be careful.
Well, at least they can get some money to cover the
I mean, bed bugs, you can call a pest control company, they can tell you mattress covers, they can tell you things. If they can't get to the mattresses, they can tell you how to do everything from A to Z and not charge you what a hospital company might charge you.
Well, I get that. Yeah, I understand. I'm just talking about their health and safety.
No, I get it.
So, and again, I want to make sure that we understand going forward, the idea of this plan, not to make sure we got the funding, it's not to make sure that we have what we need to make it work. I just want an idea. I think it was Helen Keller that said the worst thing to have is what is sight, vision, or having no vision but having sight. And I kind of feel like that's where we're at. We're just running in the wheel every month. Go ahead, Commissioner Wright, and then we'll close.
I don't think anyone in this committee will disagree with me. This county has not kept up. We haven't kept up with the population growth. our infrastructure is, and I appreciate, Darrell, Commissioner Rogers. I appreciate you bringing this to the forefront because it needs to be. Oak Grove, if I remember right, they don't have an exhaust fan in that building.
Right.
We have people sleeping in vehicles that are running to warm up. That's not conducive to good health, folks. We gotta do something. And just like Commissioner Rogers stated, sometimes, and y'all know how vocal I have been before, sometimes I feel that we're just spinning our wheels.
All right, anybody else got anything? Anything else for good and cause?
I'm gonna take a memory moment here, but did we cover the southeast, the open,
That's the idea that left this committee and went on to the next. Yeah. Anybody else? Motion to adjourn? So moved. Thank you.